Okay, we have quorum.
Okay, great. And it is 6:01. All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Vicki Barbero, the chair of Manhattan Community Board 5, and our public hearing, chaired by our first vice chair, Nick Athanel, will begin prior to the CB5 regularly scheduled monthly full board meetings. So Nick, please call the public hearing to order.
Will do. Thank you, Vicki. Good evening, everyone. This is the public hearing of Manhattan Community Board 5. I'm Nick Athanel. I'll be your chair for the public hearing. During this public hearing, members of the public are invited to speak for 2 minutes per person on the subject set forth in the agenda for this public hearing or on any topic that relates to the affairs of the community district. If you would like to address the board before it votes on any matters tonight, now is your opportunity to do so. Although there will be a public session during the full board meeting later, that public session will be at the end of the meeting after all of the votes have taken place. So if you want to address the board on any matters before it votes tonight, now is your time to do so. If you'd like to speak during this public hearing, please use the raised hand button now. When you're recognized, we will allow you to speak, but you must unmute yourself. In order for you to be heard, you will have to unmute yourself. We will begin the public hearing with Ted Lambert. Ted, please unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I spoke to the committee just a little while ago about Town Hall, where I am the executive director. Town Hall has applied to put digital signage outside to replace the small poster boxes we have now. And we are doing it within a case that restores the look of the exterior of the town hall in decades past. The earliest photo I've seen, it appears in drawings, but the earliest photo I've seen is in the 1930s. So I feel that it's doing two things for town hall. One, it's bringing us up in keeping with the times, and every other theater, including the 3 landmark Broadway theaters in our area, which all have digital signage. Ours is a bit smaller, but it restores the exterior of the building, and it updates us and allows us to put in programming that can be 6 hours ahead to 6 months ahead, show historical footage of the things that have happened on Town Hall, which I don't have time to go into, but has a rich and wonderful history. I hope you all know the Town Hall, and I feel that we deserve to have the kind of signage that every other theater in New York has enjoyed for some time now. And we're doing it in a very historically accurate way. Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ted. Next up, Kilty Reedy. Kilty, please unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm assuming you can hear me. I'd like to thank the board for allowing me to speak. I'd like to speak to the MGM Travel application for a bus stop on 810 8th Avenue. I'm a resident of 250 West 50th Street, and I am in opposition to this stop occurring on 8th Avenue. We as residents are already battling, three subway lines that deposit within this area. Of course, the A, E, C that is right there on our corner. Broadway shows such as Wicked, which have so much foot traffic on our corner and in our neighborhood. And then with the new Carnegie Diner that will be opening, which we're pleased to have business back in our space, but will just have even more foot traffic on our corner. And for the safety of our residents and the quality of life, we also live on the corridor of people coming and going from the neighborhood for schools. For the quality of life and for the safety of the residents of our building, I would plead the board to vote against this stop on our corner or on our block. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, Lisa Wager. Lisa, you may unmute yourself.
Got it. Hi, I'm Lisa Wager, Director of the Government and Community Relations at the Fashion Institute of Technology on West 27th in the district. Happy Pride. FIT proudly embraces the LGBTQIA plus community year-round with policy and operational access like gender-inclusive housing and gender-neutral bathrooms. But this month, I direct your attention to the wonderful, delightful, eye-opening 2-minute film of our recent 16th annual ever-popular drag pageant, which you can find on the FIT website. And the students interviewed other students about what it meant to be in the pageant. And one said, it's important because it's so unique to this school. FIT is kind of spearheading that change with all that's going on right now, with all the drag bills. Anytime we can get ourselves in front of people, we're making change. And another student said, this pageant is so important right now because it shows that FIT is on the right side of history. Throwing this pageant is an act of protest. The newest exhibition at the museum at FIT opened last week. It's Moda Hoy, Latin American and Latinx Fashion Design Today. The English language media has often viewed Latin American and Latinx fashion from an outsider's perspective as an exoticized other, presenting the region as one homogeneous entity. Moda Hoy takes a decentering approach to fashion studies and looks at the whole region with its shared histories of colonialism, globalism, imperialism, industrialization processes, and local modes of modernity. The exhibition is organized into sections that address the issues of Indigenous heritage, sustainability, art, gender politics, elegance, craftsmanship, and popular culture. As an example, the politics section explores women's rights, immigration, and geopolitical relations. The sustainability section examines the ways in which Latin American and Latinx designers are integrating cultural knowledge, traditional craft, natural resources, and novel materials into their ethically responsible designs. The exhibition includes many folks you know and many you will meet for the first time, including Adolfo Victor Alfaro, Maria Cornejo, Oscar de la Renta, Luis Estes, Francisco Costa, alum, Carlos Falchi, Carolina Herrera, and Isabel Toledo, alum, among many others. It's up till November. I hope you come see it. Thank you. And Nick, congratulations on that Vinoli option. That was cool.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Would anyone else like to speak during the public session? Please use the raised hand button now. Nina, oh, Nina's gone. Nina's back. Nina, please unmute yourself. You're allowed to speak.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I too live at 250 West 50th Street, as Tilty does. I am in opposition to the MGM drop-offs 7 days a week, 6 times a night at the M104 bus stop on 8th Avenue. Again, to reiterate, we not only have the public buses, we also have at this moment tour buses on 8th Avenue at that bus stop, stopping at all hours of the night and day. We have the Carnegie Diner opening, we have food carts, we have Food Emporium, we have the slimmed down 8th Avenue because of City Bike. We have a great deal of foot traffic because of we are in the theater district. And having added traffic is not what this particular block needs at the moment. I thank you for letting me speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Nina. Would anyone else like to speak during the public hearing? Please use the raised hand button now. Cassandra, you're allowed to speak. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, I hope I did that right. I'm Cassandra Grado. I'm the Executive Director of Save Your Mission. Our application for a block party permit was put before the Transportation Committee a couple of weeks ago and is before the full committee or the full board this evening. I just wanted to thank you for taking a look at it and considering it. And for your support of our past activities. I do hope that if it is approved by the full board tonight, that you will all join us next Saturday for our 40th anniversary block party event. We hope it's going to be a wonderful event, and hopefully the air will have cleared by then and it will be a healthy event. But I do just again want to say thank you for taking the time to consider it and giving us the opportunity to present it.
Thank you. Anyone else for the public hearing? Please use the raised hand button now. Anyone else? Seeing none, that concludes the public hearing. Back to you, Vicky.
Okay. I will now call to order the full board meeting of Manhattan Community Board 5. I'm Vicky Barbero, the chair. Just to go over the procedure, we'll start our full board meeting by hearing from any elected officials that are in attendance and wish to address the board. They will be followed, or it could be in place of the electeds, their representatives, who may report to the board for 2 minutes each. The board then enters into its business session, which tonight consists of the election of officers, the adoption of the minutes, the chair's report, the committee reports, resolutions, and then a question and comment period and final voting. Comments and questions from either applicants or the public, or if additional information is needed, are allowed only with the chair's approval. We will then conduct a public session for those who would like to address the board on any item that they did not speak to the board about during the public hearing. The public session is followed by old and new business and adjournment. So I'll start this evening's meeting by calling on the electeds. Please use the raised hand feature. Now, let me check. Am I seeing? I don't see anyone. That's not possible.
No
Eric.
electeds have joined so far, Vicky.
Okay.
Our representatives. here.
Okay. So first up, we have Eric Straza. Hi, Eric.
Hi, Vicky. How's it going? Hope everyone is staying safe today and having a good week. Just wanted to quickly remind the board about 2 events that I announced last time, both of which have to do with our approach to addressing gun violence, especially during the summer months as the weather gets a little bit hotter and people start to spend more time outside. So those 2 things are, the first one will be our gun buyback. Again, I mentioned this last time, and I actually have some virtual flyers in case anyone wants to help get the word out. But that'll be taking place on June 10th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And it's an opportunity for community members to anonymously surrender their firearms with no questions asked, in this case for a prepaid gift card or an iPad, depending on the category of firearm that is surrendered. And that'll be taking place again on June 10th from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Memorial Baptist Church located at 141 West 115th Street. So both of these events are actually in Harlem, but we strongly believe that gun violence is an issue that impacts all New Yorkers, especially those that are close to major transit hubs, especially in the Midtown area, and you have a high or a large transient population going in and out of the neighborhood. So that's kind of on the proactive approach to gun violence. And then on the back end, or kind of the other side, is something that we're doing to address or allow community members to heal from the trauma of gun violence, this in this case through the arts with our annual Art of Healing festival. So this will just include things like painting, drawing, spoken word, music, dance, and a lot of food. So it should be really fun, and that's taking place on Saturday, June 17th at PS7, so PS007, located at 160 East 120th Street from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. And I have some virtual flyers for that event as well. Other than that, we recently announced a legislative initiative alongside Senator Hoylman Siegel and Assemblymember Rosenthal to address ghost guns, basically just increasing charges, making it a Class D felony to manufacture any machine gun, assault weapon, or large capacity ammunition feeding device through this ghost gun framework. And happy to take any questions or explain anything further, or you can reach out to me offline if you have any questions on anything I just mentioned. Thanks so much, Vicky. Really appreciate it. And again, hope everyone is well.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Next up, James Giuliano.
Hey everyone, how's it going? I'm James Giuliano. I'm representing Assemblymember Alex Boris from the 73rd Assembly District. Just a few quick highlights for folks, although I do want to note, in case you didn't know, the legislative session ends tomorrow. So any last minute agenda items or things that you would like the Assembly member to sign on to, if you have any ideas, feel free, send them our way, because it is a hectic time and stuff's still getting pushed. Great. The Assembly member spoke actually on this community board a couple months ago about the need to increase the speed and efficiency of the judicial system. Now, this isn't the constitutional amendment that he spoke about, but we are very proud to say that a bill has been passed through the Assembly that the Assembly member carries, which will increase the number of Supreme, family, and civil court judges in several districts in need across NYC and I believe in Westchester and some other places statewide. So this will, of course, help ease the congestion in the judicial system and benefit all New Yorkers. Another end of session update. Currently, the Assembly member has a trio of bills that have passed through the Assembly and passed through the Senate. They are just waiting for signatures from Governor Hochul. This is the optometry bill to increase the numbers of optometrists in New York State. The labor intellectual property bill that I believe I've spoken about before, which protects workers' intellectual property, especially working for tech companies. And of course, I think almost everyone's favorite, the telemarketing bill, which almost doubles the current fines on those convicted or found guilty of telemarketing scamming. That's all that we have this month, but again, session ends tomorrow night, so feel free to hit us with any pressing agenda items or ideas, and of course, we'll begin the hard work next week of getting ready for next session. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you, James. Next up, Lori.
Hi, hello, CB5. Hi, Vicki.
Hi.
Lori Rogo from Councilmember Eric Botcher's office. Just a few items to share. On May 23rd, our office met with community members, local historian Eric K. Washington, and the mayor to announce $6 million in funding that was secured to restore the former colored school number 4 at 128 West 17th Street. And it was on the same day that LPC designated it as a historic landmark. Next up, participatory budgeting winners. This year, we had a major increase in PB voting. The top 3 winners were pedestrian safety improvements for the theater district from West 41st to 43rd, bathroom renovations for 2 district schools, and tree expansion to create bioswales that promote tree health. And speaking of trees, we are now seeing 200 plus trees being planted district-wide and are well on our way to meeting our goal of planting 1,000 trees throughout Eric's time in office. And finally, today, the council passed legislation Eric co-sponsored with a council member, Shahana Hanif, Intro 0244, will require New Yorkers to separate their food waste from regular trash, with mandatory composting coming to all 5 boroughs by next year. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Lori. Next up is Biani Rodriguez.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Biani Rodriguez from the Office of Council Member Carolina Rivera, and I just wanted to give you a few updates on upcoming events. So next Wednesday, June 14th, we're going to be at the Union Square Green Market with Oath from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to be answering questions about summons and also giving information about city resources. We're also gonna have a rent freeze clinic on Thursday 29th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in our district office. We're gonna have the public advocate there answering any questions you guys might have about Scree, and also we're doing a helmet giveaway on July 8th. And that's going to be from 11 a.m. to around 2:30 p.m. The location is still TBD, but you can sign up for a newsletter and we should have that soon. Or also I dropped a link for our upcoming events that we update that every Monday, so that way you can be updated. And also, the council member is having a meeting with DSNY on the Union Square trash situation. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on that.
Thank you, Biani. Okay, next up is Franklin Richards.
Hey, good evening, everyone. It's Franklin from Councilmember Power's office. Just a few updates for you. As Lori mentioned, today the City Council passed a zero waste package consisting of some of the most ambitious environmental reforms in several years. A key pillar of the package is the CORE Act that Councilmember Powers has championed, excuse me, for several years. The act will expand equitable access to composting and recycling by establishing easily accessible drop-off sites across the city and diverting tons of waste from the city landfill. Additional components of the zero waste package will dramatically increase residential composting by making it a mandatory program and convert the city's 2030 zero waste goals into legal mandates. Second, we have received calls over the last few weeks about construction storage location on West 54th Street. We have been working with the relevant agencies, mainly the Department of Transportation, Department of Environmental Protection, and Con Ed to expedite the process. Additionally, we have been working with contractors and our supplementary clean team, ACE, and other agencies to ensure that the site is clean and in order to help mitigate the reported rodent problems. Finally, last month, the Rent Guideline Board held a preliminary vote to increase rents between 2 and 5% from 2 and 5% for 1-year leases to 4 and 7% for 2-year leases. They will also be hosting a series of hearings over the next couple of weeks. June 5th, which just passed, was in the Bronx. June 8th will be in Queens. June 13th will be over Zoom. And June 15th will be in Brooklyn. The first portion of the June 13th meeting will be for Manhattan residents. I will drop the link in the chat. Please come out and let your voices be heard. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always email me or call our office at 212-818-0580. Thank you and have a great day.
Thanks, Franklin. Okay, next up will be Alex Marinides.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm Alex Marinides from Senator Krueger's office. And, just a few updates from us over the past month since we last spoke. Yesterday, Senator Krueger submitted joint testimony to the Department of City Planning, along with Senator Hoylman Siegel and Assemblymember Tony Simone regarding Penn Station and MSG. You can find the text of this testimony on our website, and I will also put it in the chat, as I will do for all of the links that I mentioned today. We'd also like to invite you all to please join us on June 15th at 10 a.m. Till around, I think, 11:45 a.m. And we're going to be hosting a virtual town hall meeting, which will include a briefing on the MTA's Omni payment system and a second briefing about important advances in technology available to help people with hearing and vision loss, including information about over-the-counter hearing aids. Like I said, I'll include the link to register for that event in this chat. With the end of session upon us, I would like to highlight one of Senator Krueger's bills in particular, which passed the Senate yesterday, the Climate Change Superfund Act, which is S2129A, or in the Assembly A3351A. It's a first in the nation legislation that is going to make fossil fuel companies pay $75 billion over 25 years for climate change adaptation. The bill is carried in the Assembly by Assemblymember Dinowitz and has not yet passed the State Assembly. So one reason I'm highlighting the bill is that we're, of course, seeing the effects of climate change here over the past couple of days in New York City with the toxic wildfire air coming down from Canada. I'm going to include a link from the CDC with recommendations for precautionary measures that we can all take while this unhealthy air warning is still in effect. And also, I wanted to point out that 2 free masks are available for all New Yorkers at any NYPD precinct. So that is available. Of course, you should be staying indoors if you can with the windows closed. But if you can't do that, if you have to go outside, you can get KN95 or N95 masks from the NYPD, 2 masks for free. So that's all. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Next up is Ben Lowenstein.
Hi, everyone. It's Ben Lowenstein from Assemblymember Tony Simone's office. So as Alex was saying, at the moment, we're witnessing in person the effects of climate change. The Assembly member is proud of the environmental accomplishments in Albany this session, from passing the all-electric buildings and the Public Renewables Act to beating back a last-minute push by the fossil fuel industry during our budget negotiations to weaken how we measure methane emissions. Still, there's much more to be done, and every year that we don't go further in our efforts than the year before is a year wasted. We've heard a lot about the problems of bikes, particularly delivery riders on e-bikes on sidewalks, and we will soon be introducing legislation to address this issue. The bill will require all e-bikes used for commercial purposes to be registered and brandish a license plate. It also redirects all fines for biking on sidewalks to be paid by the employer of the delivery worker. We found that much of this problem is due to delivery workers feeling pressured into unsafe behaviors to meet the quotas set by their employers, and we believe it is the employer that should be penalized. Our office has heard from the community on the seriousness of this issue, and this bill is targeted at the core of the complaints that we hear. Earlier this month, the Assembly member introduced a bill to remove the heliport from Hudson River Park, A7277, and another bill, A6985, to prohibit municipalities from allowing public lands for helicopters for sightseeing tours or photography, videography, etc. Both of these bills are carried by Senator Hoylman Siegel in the Senate. Additionally, the Assembly member has been having conversations with local community members about the issue of illegal cannabis shops. We're working closely with the Office of Cannabis Management to bring the focus to the West Side. I'll end it there. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Next will be Kathleen.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Kathleen, the community liaison at Assemblymember Epstein's office. Thank you all for being here. So I'll have a couple updates from the office. The Assembly member was able to pass a couple of his bills, for example, the foster youth, the track data for foster youth, as well as the bill to improve disability representation and MTA leadership. So that was exciting. We are taking donations for adult asylum seekers. The last day is next Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the flyer and information is going to be in the CB5 report that I just dropped in the chat. There is also a tracking that we are doing in regards to illegal cannabis shops in District 74. So if you all come across in the district, please feel free to fill out a form and just report what you're seeing. And then lastly, there is going to be Hang with Harvey's back now that the summer is approaching. So if you catch the Assembly member on Wednesday, July 12th and Wednesday, August 2nd and Wednesday, August 16th, more info is on the flyer in the CB5 report. But yeah, if you could want to catch him and talk to him about certain issues that you want to bring up that is affecting the community in the District 74, please feel free. Thank you all so much. Also, the pepper shredding event that we have is coming back July 15th is a Saturday. So we hope to catch the district there should you want to bring paper that you would like to shred. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Next up, I think our last speaker is Robin Forst.
Hello, everyone. Nice to see you, Vicki and company. I just have a couple of brief announcements. My first announcement was going to be one that Lori made, which is about the landmarking of the last known remaining colored school. It's will be wonderful to have it as a landmark. It's on 17th Street in Chelsea, and these schools were critical for the education of Black Americans during the 19th and into the 20th century. So it's very exciting. It's a very exciting landmark, and I hope that we will all get a chance to see it. The other thing I wanted to mention is that the state has awarded money to the city to buy food for schools from local farmers. You know, the from farm to table is a movement that's been around for a long time, but unfortunately, schools have not necessarily been able to participate in that concept. So DOE has been awarded over $8 million, and the money will be used to purchase locally grown foods from local producers, small businesses, and historically disadvantaged farmers and producers. So seems like a great thing. You all know that the asylum seeker crisis is still upon us. The mayor has been pressing both the state and the federal government for funding. We need help, and I hope that we will see that soon. And with that, and 5 seconds, I will wish you a good evening. Thank you.
Okay, we do have Curtis Young with us. Curtis?
Good evening, everyone. I will be brief. Happy Pride, first of all. The Public Advocate recently held our State of the People Conference, an opportunity to bring New Yorkers together across the city and across issues, areas to discuss some of the most important things we face as a city and how to address them in the city budget and beyond. Legislative updates. Last month, the New York City Council voted to pass the Public Advocate's worst landlord law to help prevent fraudulent repairs by bad landlords and increase accountability. The bill is a part of the Worst Landlord Accountability Act, a 2-bill package which comes out of the Public Advocate's annual Worst Landlord list. Together, the legislation in the Worst Landlord Accountability Act will help tenants get the repairs they need, make the worst landlords pay for their negligence and deception, and show that there is consequences for their conduct that pushes landlords on the watch list. Also, we are participating in the upcoming Pride Month parades and the Puerto Rican Day parades, and I will share the link if anyone's interested in joining us as a part of our contingent. And for everything else, I'll put in the chat. Thank you all for this brief opportunity to speak with you all.
Thank you, Curtis. I believe that takes care of the speakers, which means that we move into our business session of the board, where, as I mentioned, only board members are allowed to speak. Board members, please remember to have your videos on during the meeting. And we are now entering the business session, starting with the election of officers presented by the nominating committee chair, Renee Kinsella. Renee?
Thank you, Vicki. Last month, the nominating committee reported to the board and we suggested one member for each officer position, and there were no nominations from the floor. Our bylaws read that at the June meeting of the board, there shall be a separate roll call vote for the election of chair and a separate election for each of the other offices. Provided no objection is made from the floor, any or all of the separate roll call votes may be bundled and called together. Our slate is for chair, Vicki Barbera, first vice chair, Nick Athanel, second vice chair, Craig Slutskin, treasurer, Aaron Ford, secretary, Mary Brosnahan, and assistant secretary, Samir Lavinia. I always say that incorrectly. If there is no objection, I suggest we bundle, call together, and vote on the slate of nominated officers that was put forth by our committee, our nominating committee last month.
Do we need a motion or should we just take it to a vote? I'm
You just
sorry.
take it to a vote.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Akalis,
Yes.
Athanel,
Yes.
Weichman, Blake.
Yes.
Okay, Blake. Brosnahan is yes. Cedillo. Dosen. Ellington.
Yes.
Ford.
Yes.
Frewer.
Yes.
Fritz.
Yes.
Garcia.
Yes.
Gashaw.
Yes.
Haas.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
Hirschberg.
Yes.
Hutton.
Yes.
Isaac.
Yes.
Kalafarsky.
Yes.
Kinsella.
Yes.
Logisico.
Yes.
Lewis, Levy,
Yes.
Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sigmund, Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung.
Yes.
I hope I do this right. Takahashiria.
Takahashi Rail. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zukowskowitz.
Zolkowitz, yes.
Zolkowitz, sorry. Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And on behalf of the slate, we all thank you. Okay, that moves us into another vote, accepting the May minutes. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
And
Second.
a second, thank you. Another roll call. Get a
Great.
chance to do it again, Mary.
Okay, Kalis,
Yes.
Athanel,
Yes.
Weichman,
Yes.
Brosnahan is yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Fritz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Gasho,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Isaacs,
Yes.
Kalafarsky,
Yes.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Lagisico,
Yes.
Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashiria Real,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zukowitz.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay.
Mary, it's Sam Levy here. My name was missed and I'm a yes.
I'm sorry, Sam.
No worries.
Okay. All right, that moves us into the chair's report, which is of great pleasure tonight to welcome our new members. We have 11 new members who have joined CB5, and on Monday evening, the committee chairs had the opportunity to meet 8 of them in person at the new members orientation. The new members are attending their first full board meeting tonight and are voting. So we just want to say that we encourage you to take part in the discussion during the questions and comments period of each item. So new CB5ers, I'd like to welcome you to your first official board meeting and ask each of you to give an introduction with a little information as to what you do, where you live, and why you wanted to join Community Board 5. Let's start with, is Kevin on tonight? Kevin Frizz?
Yes,
I don't believe Mohit is. I'm doing it alphabetically. So Mohit,
Sure.
I don't believe is on. Kevin, are you on?
I am.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, board members. It's an honor to be included among you. My name is Kevin Frizz. I've worked, I've lived and worked in New York City for the last 25 years. My firm is currently on the corner of 26th and Madison, so I'm a little bit south of our district. I'm
also on the board of the food bank for New York City. And that's how I kind of got interested and became aware of CB5 and the mission and the effect that you guys have on various aspects of the city and city government. So I became interested, and I'm relatively new to this process, but I was fortunate enough to sit in on a bunch of committee meetings a couple weeks ago, and I'm looking forward to joining you all and joining the mission.
Great, happy to have you. Thank you, Kevin. I believe I'll mention the name, but I don't believe Zarar Haider is on this evening. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That takes us to Elizabeth Hutton, who is known as Libby. Libby?
Hi. Yes, I go by Libby. I grew up in Westchester, and I've been living in Union Square for the last 6 years, but utilize an office, though less since the pandemic, in Rockefeller Center. I've got a professional background in electoral politics and an academic interest in women running for office. I started attending meetings sort of locally about Union Square Park, which is where I live at the very southern part of our district. And especially I'm interested in the vision plan. And I sort of started attending more meetings from there, and it expanded in a way that I'm really excited about. I'm really excited to serve the district. And yeah, in my spare time, I enjoy going to art galleries and love everything sort of about our district in particular. So it's really special to be here. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Libby. Next is Sasha Lewis. I'm not sure if Sasha is on. I don't think she is, right, Mary?
No.
Okay, then we move on to Isabel Marks. Isabel?
I think we've lost her.
Okay,
I
all
can-
right.
She was here. I can testify
Okay.
that.
I thought I saw her, yeah. Okay, then we will move on. Christopher Nazaro, sorry we missed you the other night, but happy to see you tonight.
Hello. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm still traveling, but I'll be back in New York, I think tomorrow or so.
Hope
I was
the air
actually
is better where you are.
yeah, I'm in Spain. I was kind of hoping to stay and avoid the whatever.
Yes.
It's whatever. Anyway, looking forward to coming back to New York. I live also in the very southern part of the district on 17th Street, right near Union Square. And I teach at the New School, English as a second language, and at Pace University as well. I don't know if the New School, I think the New School is like tangential to our district, but at any rate, I live there. And I don't know, I saw an ad for this, like I should join the community board on the Link NYC thing like a year ago, and then a year later I was like, oh, I should actually have done that. So I'm glad I went through the process, and I'm glad to be here, and glad to learn a few things. And I mean, again, because I've been traveling, I may be a little bit quiet, but I'll try to follow as best I can and do what I can. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Christopher. Is it Chris or Christopher?
Oh, let's go to Christopher. I prefer
Christopher.
unless I
Okay.
have some- Thank
Okay, very good. Thank you. Next up, Charles Nye.
Hello. I've been involved with the community board since 2019 when I had an issue with MTA buses parking in no standing zone in front of my building, which was resolved. And then I started being curious about the board and joining different committee meetings as a public speaker and giving some thoughts on matters concerning people with disabilities, which I care about, disability rights and advocacy and human rights. And then after a few years of public speaking, I decided to join the board and be a part of the larger conversation. So that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Charles. Welcome. Next up, Michael Southworth.
Hi, everyone. I'm Michael Southworth. I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I grew up in Murray Hill, just at the corner edge of our district. I've lived at 35th and 5th in CB5 since about 2007. Professionally, I'm a creative director and film director, and currently I'm supporting sustainability initiatives with Amazon and the Climate Pledge. And previously, I spent many years with Warner Media and at agencies like Ogilvy and BBO, and so I've spent a lot of time at Hudson Yards and the Time Warner Center. So New York's been my home personally and professionally my entire life. And actually, even more specifically, this community board itself. I was briefly a member of CB5 about 15 years ago and was inspired to rejoin the board basically after COVID or due to COVID and the outsized impacts it's had on our district, what I remember it as, and what I hope it can become again. So look forward to working with you all.
Thanks, Michael. That's a great sign that you were on once and you're back again. We're happy to have you.
Glad to be back.
Next up will be Sachi Takahashi Rial.
Pretty close. It's a long one, but thanks everyone for giving my last name a try. My name is Sachi Takahashi Ryle. I'm a relatively new New Yorker. I moved to New York City from California 2 years ago, and I live near Herald Square. Since moving to New York, I've been excited to find ways to volunteer and give back in the community. So I started volunteering and am now on the board of a pro-housing advocacy organization, nonprofit called Open New York. And I'm hoping that my service in CB5 will give me another way to learn more about our community and work toward ways to improving the already great neighborhoods that we live in. For like my full-time job, I work at a nonprofit called Listen for Good. Listen for Good's focus is really on elevating the voices of constituents in order to improve services in the nonprofit sector and for public sector agencies. It's a national nonprofit, so works with nonprofits and foundations in New York as well as across the country. But a lot of that passion that I bring to my day job is also what motivates me here at CB5. I think it's really important that constituents have a voice in their services and in their communities. So I'm excited to work with all of you toward that goal.
Okay, welcome to you, Sachi. Last but not least, Double Z, Zul Sulkowitz.
Thank you, Vicky. I'm from the South Bronx, but currently live at 28th and 5th. I'm an artist, activist, and producer, retired member of the Directors Guild of America, during which time I worked on over 100 Hollywood on Hudson movies. I'm involved in a wide range of social justice and environmental issues. In the last year, on an initiative by Norman Siegel and Bob Hayes, the Street Homeless Advocacy Project. And I'm so happy to be joining all of you in the work that we're doing here in the community and for the city. So thank you, all of you.
Thank you and welcome. By any chance, is Isabel back on?
Yeah, hi, sorry, my Wi-Fi went a little fritz earlier, but hi, my name is Isabel Marks. I live on West 22nd Street. I've lived in New York my whole life. I'm currently a junior at Bard, which is the high school in Long Island City. I've done some work with the DOE, specifically with the Chancellor Student Advisory Council and the Panel for Education Policy, and some other New York City organizations that are based around education equity and mental health in schools, as well as some work on the state level for my school specifically. I think local government is really interesting, it's really powerful, especially on a neighborhood level. So I'm super excited to learn from and work with all of you.
Okay, thank you, Isabel, and welcome. I just want to mention that the orientation that we had on Monday evening was recorded. So we'll be notifying those members who are not able to make it. They can see it because it's really important information. And perhaps any of you who are already there, if you have any questions or thoughts, or you might want to just listen again, it's available. Just check with Marisa as to how to do that. All right. So thank you so much again to all our new people, and we're very pleased to have you on CB5. At this time, I unfortunately have to report the departure of a 3-year veteran board member. Joseph Frewer, who recently took over the position of vice chair for the State Licenses and Permits Committee, will be leaving the board at the end of the month. Joseph has been doing a great job, especially as SLAP's vice chair. He has graciously offered to stay on board during the transition of a new vice chair this month. So we thank Joseph, we wish him well, and we're very sorry to see him go. So thank you very much, Joseph, for all you've done in the time that you've been on the board.
Thank you, Vicki. Thank you so much for the kind words. I'll really miss you all, at least working with you closely. And I'm sad to go, but a new job has kind of constrained my time even more than before. So I'm not going far, staying in New York. So I'm sure I'll see you all again.
Okay.
Thanks.
You may be like Michael and you may work your way back someday. It's possible. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to rule it out, right?
Best of luck to you. Okay, that now moves us into our committee reports. I don't think I've missed anything, no. Starting with Parks and Public Spaces Committee, Craig.
Thank you, Vicki, and welcome to the new members. The Parks and Public Spaces Committee has one resolution. I'd like to have it deemed read, please.
So deemed.
This is an application from Factory 360 on behalf of a client of theirs, Chick-fil-A, which is a restaurant that many of us know. It's for a marketing event held in Bryant Park from June 27th to June 28th, which is a Tuesday and Wednesday. The Factory 360 is having this marketing activation. It's being held in the southwest area of Bryant Park, adjacent to 40th Street, which is next to the games area and south of the carousel that's there. The event will take place between 12 and 5 on both days. That Tuesday setup will begin at 4 a.m. And the breakdown of the event will happen by Wednesday evening. And what it will be, and there's a picture of it on page 4 of your packets, it's a 12-foot wide, 15-foot high booth to introduce their digital game and educate New Yorkers and the general public on how this game is played. The structure is going to be assembled off park grounds, so it's not going to be assembled at the park itself. They'll just bring it in and put it down in that area, and it's not going to affect the park in any permanent way. The event's going to be staffed by 15 to 20 ambassadors. There'll be some production team members, some security guards, and additional sanitation teams each day. The sanitation teams are needed because the applicant will be distributing free chicken sandwiches to participants, but that's it. But as a result, they will have additional sanitation bins out there as well. There's no amplified sound, and the interior sound for the exhibit is not expected to bleed outside. They expect to have 3,000 people per day. And one thing that we did talk about in detail is social media, the recordings. They will be recording things around there. It will not be broadcast to social media. It's just for internal use. However, and for the benefit of the newer members, what you can't do is you can't really say, if you're recording something, if a applicant is recording an event, you can't say to people, well, if you happen to be in the area, you're automatically giving us permission to record you and use it in perpetuity for 10,000 years in any way we want. You really can't do that, even if you have a sign that says that. You're supposed to get their express written permission if they do that. So we had a long talk with them on the rules. They have committed to ensure that they will abide by applicable New York State law on that. I will follow up with them to make sure, because initially they were going to post a notice, basically what I just said. If you go in this area, we can use your likeness for as long as we want in perpetuity. Otherwise, all operational aspects of the event were fine. We felt that this was generally not objectionable. It's only 2 days. It's not a huge area of the park. It's not taking away a whole lot of space from the park. So we recommended approval of this 10-0-0-0.
Okay, thank you, Craig. Does anyone have a conflict with this application? Are there any questions to the resolution? Are there any comments? Charles?
Yes, I'm a bit concerned about the recording. I do hope that there could be a way that Factory 360 could have their ambassadors go up to people and as you said, get written consent, because there could be unaccompanied minors, maybe teenagers aged 16 or 17 or 15 who go to the park. Maybe they're on their own. Maybe they see this event and they want to get a sandwich, and maybe they're not really focused on a posted sign or understanding about consenting to having their image taken. So I'm concerned about the younger users of the park. So that's one of my concerns. Thank you.
Okay, Mark?
Hi, I don't have an issue with the resolution here, but I was just curious what the law is restricting that, because as an entertainment attorney, we frequently advise clients that those signs are okay. So I'm curious what the law is there. And
Can I answer?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure. So we had actually done a significant amount, the committee, I should say, had done a significant amount of work on this maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And the actual state law, and Todd Shapiro did who was an attorney and obviously a member of our committee, led the charge on this. The law actually is that you have to get written consent for people to use their likeness, to have their likeness in your recordings. And we had checked that out. Yes.
Huh,
So the
okay.
the signs really are not appropriate, or simply not.
Okay.
Appropriate.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
Any follow-up, Mark? That's okay.
I mean, it's interesting because I was thinking about like studio audiences, and I don't think everyone consents, but that's interesting. I'll just look into that. But
yeah,
good to know. Thanks.
Todd?
Yes, so that is in fact the case, that if you're going to use somebody's digital likeness, you got to get their permission. As to the issue of audiences that go into like the Bill Maher show or like some situation like that, okay, there is a de minimis exception that exists that people sometimes overstate, or people using our parks and public spaces take advantage of. But it's pretty solidly established in New York State that people using our public spaces and taking pictures have got to get the permissions of our people. If you get the back of somebody's head or somebody clapping for half a second, there's an exception in the law. But it's not clearly, if you get somebody's face walking by, or if you try to scare them or try to get an implied consent by putting up a nasty sign, that's not allowed in New York State.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Zul?
Will there be signage to that effect, that a written consent is required for recording?
Greg?
We
And I'd like
have
to, I'd like to just point out that we are in comments. I'll let it go tonight. I know, we've got to get used to how it goes, but we ask for questions first and then comments, but I'll allow questions at this point. Craig?
So we don't put signs up. It's not our responsibility or even our right to put a sign up to say that. What we did is we advised them and Bryant Park Corporation that this is the law and they have to agree to it and they have to abide by the law. And we put in the resolution, which goes to the Department of Parks, that this needs to be abided by as well. It is up to the Department of Parks and Recreation as well as the Bryant Park Corporation to enforce the law. We can't enforce laws. That's not our jurisdiction.
Okay. Any further comments? Layla?
If I understand correctly, it looks like we have not gotten a commitment from the applicant that they would abide by the law. And
They said at the meeting, no, they said at the meeting that they would abide by the law. Now
they would. Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Let me emphasize, Layla. They said they would abide by the law. I'm just, you're understanding my words. They said they would abide by the law.
Thank you for the clarification, Craig. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Charles? Charles?
Sorry, am I muted? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, you can hear me?
Do you have a comment?
Yes. So my last comment on this matter is that I'm just surprised that Factory 360 didn't, think about maybe, for example, blurring faces, and one does wonder why they need to have the public's faces in the first place. If this is for internal use, surely the focus should be on their workers and their employees, not members of the public. That's my view on that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, before we go to a vote, I just want to make another point very clear that when I say questions and comments to the resolution, it is specifically to what's written in the resolution in terms of how it affects your ability to vote on that issue. So just be careful that we don't go too far off course when asking questions and when giving comments. Okay, we will take this to a vote. Mary?
Michaelis,
Yes.
Athena,
Yes.
Weichman,
Yes.
Brosnahan is yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Brewer, Frizz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Yasha, don't think she's with us. Haas.
Yes.
Yes, I'm here. Yes,
Oh,
I've been here the whole time.
okay, thanks, Nancy. Harris,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Isaacs,
Yes.
Alafarsky,
Yes.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Logisico,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
I think Lewis is here. Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sigmund, Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahasharia,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Craig. That moves us to Bex, Budget Education City Services. Renee?
Thank you, Vicky. And again, welcome to all the new members. We had one resolution that came out of the BEX committee this month. May I deem it read?
So deemed.
Thank you. This item comes from the Community Board Public Restroom Working Group, and it was presented by CV5's Julie Chu. The resolution deals only with the issue of public bathroom, but it works with and sits within the idea of the Open Restaurants Program. Everyone's familiar with the Open Restaurants Program, which is in the process of becoming a permanent program, and it's going to allow restaurants to operate on the sidewalk and in the roadbed. And restaurants are going to have to pay a permit fee as well as revocable consent fees to operate. And of course, there are a host of other rules that are going to be worked out as the program gets going. Right now, there are about 13,000 open restaurants, meaning those with outdoor dining, either on the sidewalk or in the roadbed, are in existence. And we have about 658 of those in our district. That's public realm space that's being taken away from the public and given over to the restaurants. So the public Restroom Working Group thought it would be a great opportunity as this program gets going to follow what has been done in other countries like London and in Germany, which is to create a retail public bathroom program. Restaurants here are taking up a lot of the public realm for private benefit, so why not require, as part of that program, a public give back? Specifically, why not provide public bathroom access as part of the program? The reso, if you've read it, and I hope you have, is not very prescriptive. And by that, I mean, it still leaves a lot that still needs to be determined, but it asks that our electeds look to reduce the open restaurant program fee for restaurants who will agree to open up their bathrooms to the public, require restaurants participating in the open restaurants program that have a roadbed or sidewalk space over a certain amount of square footage to open up their bathrooms to the public, and use some of the fees generated from the open restaurants program to pay for a stipend for restaurants who don't participate in the open restaurants program to open up their bathrooms to the public. You'll see that the reso is not really specific as to fees, square footage, mandated participations, and we do recognize there's a lot to be worked out. In Germany and in England, they use stickers on the doors so that people know who is participating. There, they also have apps that show tourists where they can go to use the bathroom, and maybe we can do something here. This reso sits squarely within CB5's position on open restaurants, which indicated that perhaps restaurants should be doing more in exchange for the public realm that they're being given. The BEX committee had a lot of questions and concerns about this reso. Specifically, they wanted to make sure that the Restaurant and Hospitality Alliance and the greater business community weigh in on this proposition. And they also wanted to make sure that that there's more data gathered on issues like liability and insurance for restaurants. Should people open their restaurants to non-customers? So those concerns are specifically included within this reso, and the resolution passed unanimously 10-0-0.
Okay, thanks, Renee. Does anyone have a conflict with this resolution? Questions to the resolution? Comments to the resolution? BJ.
Yes, thank you. Renee, will this be would the bathroom initiative be limited to just within our district for Community Board 5, or is this a Manhattan citywide initiative?
So the Public Restroom Working Group has been meeting with different community boards, not just in Manhattan, but also throughout Brooklyn and Queens. I know Julie has been presented all over what they do in terms of their own resos. I think it's going on the agenda for Community Board 4 next. I know that Community Board 1 has done something in terms of square footage and requirements. So everybody's crafting their own, but there are presentations by the Public Working Group to other community boards.
Thank you. Sam.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think this is brilliant. It's one of the things that came up very early when we talked about open restaurants. I've not been involved in these conversations with Renee and her team, but it is something that other countries and cities do very effectively. There are variations on the theme in countries, both like Mexico and Australia. It feels to me like in a city that we have a public bathroom crisis, that this is a good and sensible and smart way of dealing with that crisis with some sort of quid pro quo. So not only will I be voting enthusiastically for it, but I think it is a really smart idea. So thank you.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Sam. Todd?
I just want to give my enthusiastic support for this as head of the Open Restaurant Task Force for Community Board 5. And I just want to say that there's a fundamental principle at stake, which often comes up in parks and public spaces, and also in the SLAP committee over the years, when we've dealt with outdoor cafes and the use of public space. So we support the idea of open restaurants, but there's no question that the giving over of the sidewalks and the cafes is a major step. And the question is the private commercial interests that are going to benefit from this while giving back in a positive way in terms of their business and operating their restaurants. Quite honestly, we can reasonably expect for them to give more. Okay. So it's critically important at this time that we have this big reform allowing citywide the use of our sidewalks and streets, that there be some expectation that there be a give back. And nothing is more critical, as we've just heard, than the lack of restrooms across the city. So by doing this, currently, there's nothing in the works by the city council, and we can't expect that the restaurant and hospitality industry is going to do this unbidden. So we should work together, as you've heard, with our fellow community boards and make this a point of principle, that where the public realm is given over in a coordinated and reasonable way, which is happening in the open restaurants program, that it's perfectly acceptable for us to expect something given back, as long as there's input and the balancing of interests. And that's what this resolution is all about. And I'm happy to see that we're doing this, and the Bex Committee, bravo.
Thank you, Todd. Any other comments? Seeing none, we will take this to a vote.
Great. Akalis,
Yes.
Athenell,
Yes.
Reichman,
Yes.
Rosnahan is yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Frizz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Roscoe,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Isaacs,
Yes.
Alafarsky,
Yes.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Lagisico,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
Lewis, Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashiria Real,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Just hold on 1 minute. I'm checking. I believe we have been joined by our Deputy Borough President, Keisha Sutton James. And if she would like to say a few words, I don't know, but she's welcome to join us now. I don't see her on the
Yep.
attendees list.
I'm here now. I just got promoted.
Good.
Sorry, it took a second for me to get
That's
promoted.
okay. Hi, Keisha, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you so much for letting me hop in right now. I'm actually calling you from Pershing Square Signature Theater, where I'm about to join their partners night. So thank you for letting me jump in before I rejoin
Sure.
partners. So really quickly, because I know I'm interrupting in the middle of your meeting, wanted to start out on behalf of the borough president, welcoming all of the new CB5 board members, actually welcoming those who are rejoining, but a special congratulations to all of the new members, of course. This is a super special board that carries on with so much technical knowledge and has tackled some of the more consequential land use battles over the last several decades. So this is among this, board includes some really heavy hitters that I'm confident that the returning members and our new members are going to make really significant contributions to this board. So we're all really thrilled to have all the new members. Congratulations to everyone. On that note, we are going to have a few onboarding meetings starting I think next week, and we'll be sending out dates tomorrow. So please keep a lookout for that email in the next 24 hours. On a separate note, our office has been giving away KN95 and N95 masks. We are doing a giveaway tomorrow. We did one, the borough president did one yesterday downtown in Chinatown. There's going to be another one tomorrow out of our Northern Manhattan office on 125th Street at 431 West 125th Street. So we're giving away 100 masks to each community group that reaches out to our office and is able to pick up tomorrow at our Northern Manhattan office. If anyone is listening in and would like to pick up masks, please reach out to Trisha Shimamura in our office, who is also on this call. I don't know, Trisha, if you can maybe drop your email in the chat so that community members who are organizations that are not CB, that are not necessarily in touch with the CB can reach out to you. But otherwise, please, if you don't have Trisha's email address, you can reach out to the community board. They can connect you with Trisha Shimamura. We also have some exciting news this Sunday. In addition to the Tonys, is the Puerto Rican Day Parade. So we will be marching, our office, the borough president and our office will be marching in the Puerto Rican Day Parade. If you are interested in doing that, please, along with us, please email us about that as well. Very separate topic, RGB, the Rent Guidelines Board, in May passed a preliminary vote to increase the rents on rent stabilized apartments. A final vote is scheduled for June 21st, which could mean a 2 to 5% increase for 1-year leases and a 4 to 7% increase for 2-year leases. Borough President Levine has really continued to push for, obviously, right to counsel, which we all know he was one of the sponsors of when he was in the council, which is free legal representation to low-income tenants that are facing eviction. And the VP has also sent a joint letter with Manhattan City Council members calling for a hearing scheduled for Manhattan for the Rent Guidelines Board, because the 3 hearings that they've had have been in Queens, the Bronx, and in Brooklyn, even though Manhattan has over 240,000 rent stabilized units, the largest number in all 5 boroughs. We don't know if they will, reverse course and schedule a hearing for, that is in Manhattan. We continue to wait for a response, but we encourage you to testify virtually on June 13th from 5 to 8. Moving on to artificial intelligence. Do you have thoughts on what the future of AI should look like? Generative AI technology like ChatGPT and Midjourney is advancing at an astonishing rate, and it'll have obviously profound implications for New York City, our country, our local economy, our workers, schools, local elections, city government operations, and much, much more. So our city really needs to mobilize to meet the moment. So we want to hear from you. The borough president has begun thinking and started convening people to discuss this, and wants to hear from you, our everyday citizens, as to what you think the opportunities and threats to New York City from AI are, and how we can be responding to that. And there's a section on our website that is called Priorities. So you can go to the borough president's office website, the Manhattan Borough President's Office, which is manhattanbp.nyc.gov. Go to Priorities, look for artificial intelligence, and in that part of the website, you can share what your thoughts are on AI, and we really would appreciate your engagement. And then finally, last note is around the CC. The deadline has been extended to June 9th. The borough president is looking for partners to help ensure that every single school is excellent. Students across the borough are supported and allowed to thrive, and really given the supports to thrive. The CECs are one of our most local levels of government. We really help to provide parents with a voice to shape education policy decisions at the district level. There are 6 CECs in Manhattan, one for each community education district. Each CEC is composed of 11 voting members, 9 elected parents of students in grades K through 8 at the time they run for election, and 2 members appointed by the borough president. In order to be eligible, BP appointees must be residents of the district or own or operate a business in the district where they seek to serve on the CEC and have extensive business, trade, or education experience and knowledge. So we are soliciting, interest from people who, parents and others who are interested in serving on their local CECs. You can reach out to Trisha with that as well. And we will share that interest with, Trisha will share that interest with the other folks in our office who handle that. And that concludes my report, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Okay, we thank you very much, Keisha. And it's, again, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Excellent to be here.
Okay. Okay, let us continue our agenda, which now leads us to landmarks.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Vicki. I want to welcome all the new members to the board. It is exciting to see so many of you. This month, Vicki, we had one application, so I'm bringing one resolution. I would like it deemed read.
So deemed.
Thank you. This is an application for an individual landmark. The address is 123 West 43rd Street. This is Town Hall. It is a theater. The theater, as you heard from the applicant, is owned by a non-for-profit. The building was designed by famed architects McKee, Mead and White and completed in 1921. It is located on West 43rd between 6th Avenue and Broadway. The applicant is proposing to remove non-historic display boxes that are flanking the doors that are entrances into the theater. And he is proposing to replace those non-historic boxes by new boxes that are actually matching the historic display boxes that existed when the building was constructed. Well, at least, at the time that we have documentation for the building, which was in the 1930s. The boxes would be, they would be larger in size, but there would be fewer of them. Their profile would be more consistent with the facade of the building. The applicant is proposing to do very delicate work where no puncturing would be done to the masonry. The wiring of these boxes would be done discreetly in a historically appropriate fashion. The display boxes themselves would contain a digital display screen, a TV, to put it more simply. This is veering from the historic context of today. This generated quite a bit of discussion, but in the end, the committee felt that it was appropriate to actually allow a digital display. It is consistent with the broader Broadway Theater District. We also talked with the applicant about his desire to use these display screens for advertising, and he gave us guarantees that that was not the intention, and we note that in the resolution. Overall, we were very satisfied by the application with the applicant, and is a very good steward of the building and has been a very good steward for decades, and the committee voted unanimously to support the application.
Great, thank you, Leila. Does anyone have a conflict with this application? Are there any questions to the resolution? Are there any comments? Charles?
I'm definitely in favor, and I just wanted to say that I think the applicant did a really good job in explaining the intentions and keeping up with the historical, history of the building. So I will be definitely voting in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles. Anyone else? Okay, seeing no comments other than Charles, then let's take this to a vote.
Great. Michaelis,
Yes.
Athena,
Yes.
Deichmann,
Yes.
Brosnahan is yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Basho,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Isaacs,
Yes.
Talafarsky,
Yes.
Kinsella,
Yes.
Lagisico,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
Mafia,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
thanks. Takahashiria, Real,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Leila with Land Use Housing Zoning Committee.
All right, we had one application for land use, housing and zoning. So I bring one resolution. I would like it deemed read.
So deemed.
You. This is a citywide zoning text amendment coming from the Department of City Planning. And this is part of a broad policy initiative by the mayor labeled and named the City of Yes. The City of Yes is a package of initiatives that involve land use and among other things. The Department of City Planning has decided to actually break it down into its smaller components given the breadth of proposals that are in front of us. So what we're dealing with today is specifically has to do with carbon neutrality. It is a package of zoning tax amendments that would basically have a number of goals. And these goals are to decarbonate our energy grid, decarbonate our building stock, decarbonate our vehicles, and decarbonate our waste stream. In order to implement these goals, a number of proposals are presented into this text. It is a very dense text. We actually had an opportunity to receive a briefing prior to the hearing that was open to chairs of land use committees actually throughout the city. The Department of City Planning held a number of those. We had a number of very specific questions as to how this particular zoning tax amendment is going to affect our district. We're obviously, a very dense district, the densest in the city and probably in the country. So the implications that this text may have is going to be vastly different than the impact that it may have on, a much lower density neighborhood or district in another borough, or an area that would be along waterway. In essence, the committee felt very supportive of the zoning tax amendment. We had a number of questions. Some of those actually remained. We still don't have total clarity, and the department really encouraged us to look at that as a work in progress. They are on their end still refining these articles of those zoning tax amendments, but the general framework of what is being proposed is here. One very specific issue that we raised with the Department of City Planning that we felt was important to note in the resolution is that they're making they're putting a big emphasis on solar energy and permitting solar panels on rooftops of buildings in where currently it may not be permitted by the zoning resolution. The one question that we had really is, once a building actually, invests and, does these investments in, solar energy, those are significant investments for a building owner. What guarantee do they have that they will keep access to direct sunlight so that, this investment is not taken away if their sunlight is taken away? We did not receive a clear answer on what mechanism would be put in place. So we noted in our resolution, you will see at the bottom, it is part one of our resolve. So we resolve that Committee Board 5 recommends approval of the zoning text amendments, while at the same time we really urge them to look specifically at how solar exposure is going to be protected so that these investments are protected. We note that what is known as the Seeker Technical Manual, the City Environmental Quality Review Technical Manual, that is basically the guideline to do environmental review at the city level, does not have this criteria, direct access to solar exposure, and we believe this is a deficiency of the technical manual. We believe that the technical manual has multiple deficiencies, but that's a story for another day. But certainly we are urging the city to look at this particular issue and make sure that there are provisions so that these investments would be protected. And with all of that said, we the committee is supportive of the zoning tax amendment, and we voted in favor, and it was unanimous.
Okay, thank you, Leila. Does anyone have a conflict with this application? Are there questions to the resolution? Any comments to the resolution? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on this resolution.
Okay, Kalis,
Yes.
Atheno,
Yes.
Weichman,
Yes.
Brosnahan is yes. Ellington,
Yes.
Ford,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Dashaw,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Isaacs,
Yes.
Alafarsky,
Yes.
Lagisico,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
Mafia, Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes.
Sigmund, it's not here, Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashiria, Real,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next will be State Licenses and Permits Committee, SLAP, Nick.
Thanks, Vicky. SLAP has one resolution for you tonight. May I have it deemed read?
Yes, so deemed.
Thank you. This was an application for a new catering license at 133 West 30th Street. The premises is about 4,000 square feet on the ground and mezzanine levels of the space, with a capacity of approximately 100 persons. The premises does have a basement space, and although that's not included in the application at the moment, the applicant did allude several times to expanding the space and the operation to the basement, but that's not before us at the moment. This location is very congested. It has several restaurants currently in operation, and there's 2 or 3 that we've already approved to add there. They suffer from extraordinary traffic congestion. The NYPD traffic control division is there. There's lots of double parked cars there. There's only a single lane of traffic. So it's a very congested block. This method of operation is proposed to be an event space, and the applicant specializes in curated events and immersive experiences. They work with event teams to promote these events and sell tickets in order to maximize attendance. They do so with what's called ticketed segments. So, for example, if an event runs from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m., they'll sell tickets from 6 to 8, from 8 to 10, from 10 to 12, from 12 to 2, and so on. That way they can maximize attendance and fill the space over and over again throughout the evening. The applicant stated that this method of operation requires late hours, at least until 3 a.m. or 4 a.m., because the clients who book these events or the promoters that finance them require these late hours to recoup their investments and get as many people into the space as possible. They also said that this method of operation requires a velvet rope and sidewalk queuing so that people who come before their ticketed segment can line up outside until it's their time to enter. The concern about ticketed segments at a location like this is that it could, for example, if you have 100 people for each segment, 5 segments over the course of an event, that could be turnover of 500 people over the course of an event at that one location. That method of operation is very different from what we usually see in the bars or restaurants in our district, where a bar may have a busy time during mealtime or dinner time, or a bar where there's a sporting event or something that happens. These event-based operations are really designed to have maximum occupancy all the time, every night. The applicant did obtain several one-time catering operation permits from the SLA, and they held several operations, several events, which caused significant disturbance to the block. There are photos of one particular event that showed crowds in the street, crowds up and down the sidewalk, and the residents testified that there were people vomiting in the streets, vomiting in their planters, and there was police required to control the conditions there. We received very strong testimony from the 29th Street Neighborhood Association, as well as many of the residents on that block, that this method of operation is just not compatible with this location. And the committee agreed with that and recommended denial unanimously, 13-000. We also requested that the SLA not issue any additional one-time catering permits for this premises.
This was a flat denial?
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have a conflict with this application? Are there any questions to the resolution? Any comments to the resolution? Okay, seeing none, we will vote.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Todd. Sorry, Mary.
Yes, so I just want to make a point that our committee, the SLAP committee, often we try very hard to be even-handed and reasonable when it comes to businesses and their goodwill and balancing the interests of business and local residents. In this case, though, it was so clear, as Nick said, that the method of operation was inappropriate for this neighborhood, that it was just beyond a shadow of a doubt. So it may seem strange that we're doing something like this, but it just shows that when the facts are totally in one direction, and I've got to say that the applicant, when they showed up at their hearing, seemed to be totally insensitive to, you know, the considerations of the community with regard to operating at peak capacity through the hours, that we just can't, there was no opportunity to be even-handed. So I just think, you know, this is the exception that proves the rule.
Absolutely. When this committee and when this board says no, it's unusual and it's warranted. Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, we will take this to a vote.
Kalis,
Yes.
Atheno,
Yes.
Eichmann,
Yes.
Rosnahan is yes, Ellington,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Riz,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Asho,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Hutton,
Yes.
Isaacs,
Yeah.
Helifarsky,
Yes.
Lagisico,
Yes.
Marks, I'm sorry, Levy,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes,
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashiria, Real,
Yes.
Webb, Shu,
Yes.
Young.
My apologies. Yes, this is Peter.
Okay, thanks, Pete. Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Transportation and Environment, EJ.
Thanks, Vicky. T&E had 2 resolutions this month. I'd like to have them deemed read,
So deemed.
and we'll bundle, please.
Okay.
So our first resolution is in regards to an application by the Xavier Mission for a street closure and block party on West 16th Street between 5th and 6th Avenues, taking place on June 17th, 2023. We heard a speaker in the public session talking about this tonight. This is an event to celebrate the mission's 40th anniversary and the Church of St. Francis Xavier's 30th anniversary of its LGBTQ ministry. This is essentially the same event that was held in the past in 2013 and 2018 for its 30th anniversary and its 35th anniversary, with some very minor differences this year for updated SAPO requirements, such as a larger fire lane. The event will be from 11 to 4 on that day, with setup starting at 9 a.m. and breakdown of the event taking place at 4:30. The event will offer a DJ playing music, carnival games, a bounce house, a 15-foot tent, and potentially, but not likely, a small stage. As I said, according to SAPO requirements, there'll be a 15-foot emergency lane built into the plan as well. the applicant indicated that they were collecting all the required permits and that there would not be any external vendors selling anything at the event. There was an initial error in the date that SAPO gave us, but it was corrected, and we made sure to note that we should always receive 60 days to review these applications. This is always the goal, and that MTA's accessor rides should be notified about the event so that residents can still access rides nearby. Nobody from the community came out to speak out against this event. Many people from the community came out to praise the mission as a neighbor, as a very well-run operation, and to support this specific block party application in particular, including representatives from our elected officials as well. The committee similarly supported this application and supported the applicant's overall operation and mission wholeheartedly, and we approved that with a unanimous vote of 9-0.
Okay, thank you, EJ. Does anyone have a conflict with this application? Charles, okay.
I'm not sure if this counts, but I have used the soup kitchen and the food pantry at the Xavier mission, so I'm not sure if that's a conflict or not, but I just wanted to put that out there.
No, that's really not. If you'd like to vote on it, it's up to you. If you would prefer not to, that's okay.
Oh, no,
but-
I will vote. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I apologize.
Sure, no, that's okay. Anyone else? And anyone, do exactly that. If you're unsure, you can always ask, and hopefully I'll be able to give you the right answer. So anyone else? Okay, any questions to the resolution? Any comments? Mary?
It's a quick one, not to belabor it, but I think they're terrific and wholeheartedly support it.
Great. Anyone else? Okay, we'll take a vote. Oh, no, we're bundling. Go ahead, EJ, for the next one.
Thanks, Vicky. Our other resolution was a request by MJM Travel, doing business as Silver Star Transportation, for an intercity bus stop at 810 8th Avenue, which is on the east side of 8th Avenue between 49th and 50th Streets. This would be an intercity commuter bus stop with 6 daily drop-offs, Monday through Sunday, 7 days a week, taking place 4:30 p.m., 5:30, 6:30, 8 p.m., 8:45, and 9:30 p.m., bringing passengers from locations like Atlantic City and Woodbury Commons. The location is already currently marked no standing, and it's actually already licensed to one other bus operator, the Top View Sightseeing, which is a red bus, hop on, hop off sightseeing bus. As we do with every bus stop request, we held a hearing to get feedback from the community on DOT's selected location for this stop. And what we heard from several community members who were residents of the Avalon Midtown West apartment building at that location, who testified both in person and via at least a half dozen emails received by the board office, and testimony which was repeated by some in our public session tonight, was serious concern that this location wasn't appropriate for yet another bus stopping at the same location, primarily because it's already extremely congested due to multiple existing factors. These include proximity to Broadway shows, including Wicked, which of course is very popular, traffic from the nearby food emporium, crowds from the Carnegie Diner, 3 nearby subway stations, including a subway station entrance under the Avalon, food carts that operate on all the corners of the intersection, pedestrian traffic from the MTV Bank and the Gershwin Theater, parking lot traffic congestion from a parking entrance under the Gershwin Theater, traffic and congestion from the M104 crosstown bus that stops in front of the Avalon. The top view red hop on hop off sightseeing bus and a city bike station. The testimony that we heard was essentially unanimous that this is a heavily congested block already. So we summarized this finding of significant concern from the community about this proposed bus stop, alongside our longstanding call for all intercity buses to go into the Port Authority bus terminal instead of dropping off on our streets. And also our longstanding call for DOT to develop a comprehensive plan for street use in the district instead of making decisions that add to the congestion ad hoc, one by one, forever. And the committee approved this finding of significant concern about this proposed stop unanimously, 9-0.
Okay, thanks, CJ. Any conflicts on this application? Any questions to the resolution? Any comments to the resolution? Okay, seeing none, we will vote on these two bundled resolutions.
Michaelis,
Yes.
Atheno,
Yes.
Eichmann,
Yes.
Bosnahan is yes, Ellington,
Yes.
Ward,
Yes.
Brewer,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Garcia,
Yes.
Gashaw,
Yes.
Haas,
Yes.
Harris,
Yes.
Hirschberg,
Yes.
Button,
Yes.
Isaacs.
Yeah.
Kalafarsky,
Yes.
Magisico,
Yes.
Levy,
Yes.
Marks,
Yes.
McCall,
Yes.
Nazaro,
Yes.
Nye,
Yes.
Shapiro,
Yes, yes,
Slutskin,
Yes.
Southworth,
Yes.
Sung,
Yes.
Takahashiria, Rial,
Yes.
Webb,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Young,
Yes.
Zolkowitz,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Then we are up to our last, tonight it's a report on the Open Restaurant Task Force, from the Open Restaurant Task Force, given by Todd. You're on, Todd.
thank you, Vicky. Okay, so the moment of decision is approaching for the open restaurants law. The city council in the next week or two or three is going to be voting on the permanent law. And you may recall a few months back, we voted a resolution based on the work of my committee, of my task force. And that resolution was quite extensive, where we noted the important things that should be part of a permanent program and areas of concern based on what we had heard up to that point. So now is the time of reckoning. So what I'm going to do is just run through very quickly the good points that we saw, and there's a copy in the materials to the meeting tonight of the actual draft law. If you have the patience to plow through it, you'll see all of these things. But if you do, you can keep in mind the good and the areas of concern. So briefly, first of all, the law will make permanent the program. It's a much more equitable and widespread use of our city streets and sidewalks all over the city, opening large sections to the benefits of outdoor dining. This can reasonably be called a reform, which was our concern and not a giveaway. The outer boroughs are going to share in this, so that's good. The draft law has provisions to get rid of the sheds, yay, and other unsightly structures, and has provisions to call for their removal. So that's a big win, and it's there in black and white. Sidewalk and roadside cafes shall be made of lightweight movable structures, as was discussed and recommended by the task force and called for in the CB5 resos. There was no backtracking there. Tables, chairs, and umbrellas, lightweight, that can be put out and taken in like you'd see in Europe, not the sheds. So that's to the good, okay? Community boards and their traditional responsibility for reviewing and doing due diligence on a granular and neighborhood by neighborhood basis is explicit in the law and allows for a longer period of time than was originally proposed. We get 40 days, and this permits for a process of negotiation using stipulations and affidavits that will be taken into account by the department in charge, which is DOT. Could be an issue during the summer when we don't meet, but it's better than what we saw when they were first talking about it. There was the early drafts of the law seem to allow outdoor smoking. It looks like that's been stripped out of the final law. So thank you to our electeds and for the people who really fought hard against that. So there's going to be no outdoor smoking, just like there's no indoor smoking. And that's consistent with the approach in the city over the last decade. It's going to be a seasonal program running from November 30th to March 31st. I hope I have those dates right. So that's good. It's not going to be year round. It'll be when the weather permits. The LPC has a process enumerated in the law that will allow them to comment and get in the picture and use their advisory capacity as they always have. I'm sure Layla and her friends on the board will be happy about that. We can quibble about the notice period and some other aspects of the law, but it's there in black and white. The community boards, I think I mentioned they get 40 days. And then last but not least, for my friends in the Parks and Public Places Committee, they're going to carry forward. They're not going to be able to turn these outdoor cafes into billboards with over-the-top advertising. Okay, so that's all to the good. Now, areas of concern. We have our doubts about the Department of Transportation, which was selected as the major city entity that's going to ride herd over this. You know, given the issues that arose during the 3-year provisional period with regards to sanitation and enforcement and other areas, you know, we're skeptical. We just got to hope for the best. It's going to be critical that they build out a new crew that can actually, you know, do the job of enforcing and making sure that the registration gets done right. And they're going to have to interface with other agencies. We hope that they can adjust to dealing with what is in effect a completely different industry. The hospitality, restaurant industry, you know, this is not people walking on sidewalks and traffic circles, but we'll hope for the best. They have to prove our skepticism wrong. Okay, the pricing of the revocable consents and the fees, the permit fees, were set according to some calculations and research done by DOT. We have our doubts about that. The method that they're using, called the sector rate schedule, is in 4 parts with different parts of the city. You know, our committee, the task force, when we looked at it, that we heard about this approach, we said at the time that it didn't really allow for the granularity, even in the outer boroughs, to make sure that the amounts recovered through the revocable consents and the fees were going to be fair and give a good return to the public interest. So, you know, we'll have to wait and see how that happens. There was nothing in the law that spoke to the issue of recapturing the increased rent that's going to be charged by the landlords that are you know, bordering the spaces that are going to be used for outdoor cafes. We'll have to see about that. the hours of operation that were recommended, that are mandatory, that we can't really change, and the DOT, when it makes its decision, can't really change, are at odds with what we recommended in our resolution. Okay, the law calls for 10 a.m. through 12 a.m. daily, 7 days a week, not 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. Friday through Saturday. This just, quite honestly, based on my experience, it's not going to allow us, when we do our due diligence, or the DOT, when it makes its final decision, to really make a judgment based on the local concerns in the neighborhood. Okay, so that's not good. We'll have to see how it plays out. The city council will have the right to, hold its own hearings. I think that this is going to be a flashpoint, but we'll just have to see how that works out. The other issue there is, when our task force, when we analyzed the finances of this, we were skeptical that the amount of money that was going to be brought in, given this pricing scheme, was not going to be enough to cover the costs of enforcement and DOT building out its new schema and staffing, especially given the fact that the pandemic cash that's been coming into the city is going to be cut back. It's an area of concern. Will they generate enough revenue? We'll have to wait and see. A major concern is that we had advocated for a comprehensive environmental impact statement that would focus on the open restaurants' impact across the city in all the relevant areas of concern: foot traffic, automotive traffic, sound, sanitation, impact on neighborhoods. It's just not mentioned here. It's just a big oversight. That kind of research would have enlightened, and one would think would have allowed the DOT or whoever is setting the policies on pricing and how to run the program in a big way. It hasn't happened. We're really concerned about that. I think they should go back to the drawing board on that. We've already heard tonight about the importance and the principle of giving back if you take, right? So the issue of things like public restrooms being given by the establishments that get our sidewalks and curbside cafes, it's important. And I think that we'll have to pay close attention to that. That's not mentioned in the law currently. I think that it's important. Vicki may speak to the issue in your materials. There's a letter that I was helping draft on behalf of the board that's going to go to our electeds and hopefully have some impact that brings all of these points to the attention of our elected officials and the city council that are going to vote in these issues. I think it's important that we do it now, and we do it in a strong, united voice, and that we work with our fellow community boards. And finally, one thing that stood out, they're giving a 4-year license and consent period. Possession is 9/10 of the law. I know that our liquor license reviews, once somebody gets a liquor license, it's very difficult on review, unless they're really bad actors, to really take it back, right? Especially since they're rolling the process out, to give a 4-year license and consent period de novo, I think is too long. Anyway, those are the highlights. I encourage everybody to take a look at the law and the letter. I think it's well advised for us to, be strong in this and work with our fellow community boards. And, it's a big step for our city. And overall, I think what we're doing is we're offering good constructive criticism, and that's what we should continue to do. Vicki, that's all I got.
incredibly well done, Todd. A big thank you to you, of course, the task force, and to you and Leslie, especially. Leslie is a public member of our task force. Am I right? Leslie
That's
Hendrick?
right. Thank you, Leslie. We got
Yes,
this.
you
got
did
letter
a
from
phenomenal
them
job
one
at,
night.
with a very short time frame. I understand that. I just want everybody to understand that our response, this is in response to a request from a council member, Carlina, who would like to have our viewpoint. And our letter is simply reiterating and weighing in based on all of the information, all of the points that we made, pro and con, previously in a resolution. So the content is all of what the community board, I believe, I don't know, how many months ago did we pass that, Todd? About 4
Oh
or
God, I
5.
think it was like the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it was around January. But I just wanted everyone to understand that it is a reiteration of all of the things that we have talked about and that we did put into our resolution. And it was a phenomenal job, and we thank you very much. Okay. All right. If there is no other, right now we have to move into, let me take a check. If anyone, I'm sorry, David.
I'm sorry. I just had to thank Todd for the incredible job he did on this. He worked so hard. You could not get a better man to work on the job than Todd. Thank you so much.
Charles.
I just quickly wanted to ask, is there anything in the law regarding people in wheelchairs being able to, maneuver with these outdoor dining, taking up the sidewalk sometimes? I have even experienced in our district where you could have a restaurant where it's so narrow that people have to go single file, and it's a very tight space in between tables on the left side and tables on the right side, and you're kind of forced to really squeeze through to get, to walk along the sidewalk. So I was just wondering if there's any consideration about that issue for people with wheelchairs or people with strollers or people that need to have a home health aide to walk them, so they can't be single filed, if you see what I mean. Thank you.
So there was a lot of discussion about that when we attended the hearings. I'll have to check back in the law. I don't specifically recall seeing anything about that. So that again is something that we should keep an eye on. Samir, you spent some time going through the draft law. Did you see anything specifically about that?
Samir is not on tonight, Todd.
Oh, no, Samir.
Not able to be on.
But I'll check on that. I don't specifically recall seeing anything about that.
Sachi. Yes.
Thanks so much. So my question is about the timing, Todd, of the, just a clarifying question. You mentioned that the timing is from November to March, that it would be open, or is that when it would be closed? And also, just kind of curious about the reasoning behind making it seasonal, as opposed to like businesses choose when it's worth it to put tables out versus not.
So as far as, yeah, so the idea is it's gonna be closed in the winter. So if you think about it, it's cold, people want to be inside in the discussions, people need a break, especially in some of the neighborhoods where you have a lot of outdoor cafes. So the thinking was, let's not have it. It's better, it's something that's more suited to the warm weather. Okay. What was the other question?
So kind of a follow-up, actually. Do you know if our businesses charged like per month that they have is the conception that they'll be charged like an annual fee, or is it more like month to month or something like that?
They're going to be charged. There are two separate components of what they're going to pay. One is an initiation fee, a application fee. That's just a flat rate that's going to be consistent for the 4 different zones that I mentioned. Okay, and then the other is a revocable consent fee, which the way they've designed it is based on the average rent in that area. Okay, so again, I'd encourage you to look at the full letter, but my issue with it, our task force's issue with it, and I think the board's, is even if you're in the Bronx and you have a street that, you know, it has lots of activity, you're not really taking, if you're just taking the average rent in that street, you're giving over a particular spot at a very low rate. You just don't have the granularity that would capture the relative value to the benefit of the public. Make sense?
Yeah, thanks, Todd.
Okay. Charles, you have your hand raised again?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify. So am I right to understand that it's the DOT that would be in charge of allocating the outdoor dining and not the community boards? Like, for example, with the SLAP committee, you know, we have an applicant come towards us with an application for a liquor license. So there would be no way for the community board to be involved to say, hey, we don't think this restaurant should have outdoor dining because of negative feedback from a certain block or from the community. Would I be right in thinking that?
Not quite. There's an elaborate procedural process set up, which is consistent with the way the city and community boards have dealt with things like outdoor cafes or liquor licenses, or even the use of our parks in certain instances. So the idea is that when somebody is applying for an outdoor cafe, there'll be notice given to the community board in the area where the cafe is going to reside. The community board will have an opportunity to speak with the applicant, speak with the neighbors, conduct a hearing, come to an agreement, either pro or con, or get together the people in the community with the applicant and have them agree to stipulations and affidavits about, you know, how they run the place in terms of the method of operation. And then our community board will send that to the Department of Transportation, which will then make a recommendation and final decision. And then it will have then the city council itself and the mayor will also have an opportunity to weigh in. So basically, if you think about the community boards as having an advisory role, we will still have an advisory role. And what we're hoping is, you know, again, that we do our job and be fair-handed and balance the equities. And our advisory opinion will carry weight with the DOT, and they'll do what's right. It remains to be seen. We have our questions about whether the DOT can do this, but, you know, we have to be hopeful. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Zul?
It would seem that a lack of an environmental impact statement is really quite a red flag.
It's a big red flag. It's so big that there's a lawsuit going on calling to task the city and the whole plan. You know, that's in litigation and it's conspicuous by its absence. But we'll just have to wait and see. You know, in the short run, we have to do everything we can to be constructive in our criticism, and we'll see how that litigation turns out.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we have to move now into our public session. If there is anyone from the public who has not spoken during the public hearing, please raise your hand to be recognized. Okay, no one from the public, so the public session of the business session is closed, and with no unfinished business at hand and no new business, I will now adjourn this meeting of Community Board 5 and see you all in July.
Great.
Have a good evening and a good month. Bye now.
Thanks.
Thank you.